Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Explain. They're not endorsed, but we explain what's going on, and we don't tell you what to think. Well, I don't tell you what to think. Let's say it like that. Now, before we get into this, yes, I'm at the airport right now. I have a flight delay. I'm headed back from Vegas to Houston, so this is not my usual setup. So it's a little, but I had a little unexpected time. I still wanted to get this information out to you. Now, before we get into it, I need to make sure that you follow, subscribe, and share this information of this video with somebody who needs to hear this information because too many people are missing their chance to vote over things that could have been handled way earlier. Now, let me tell you what I've seen working the elections, the judge, clerks, or whatsoever. People show up ready to vote, and then they find out they're not registered, something was updated, or there's an issue with their status. And instead of like being frustrated with the situation, they get mad at the election workers. And let me be very clear, blunt, and straightforward, but polite. Election workers are there to follow the law, not bend it to your liking or will. They cannot override deadlines. They cannot fix voter registration issues on the spot, your voter registration issues on the spot. So when you show up unprepared, mad, frustrated, there's only so much anyone can do for you. Now let's shift a second and let's get into what you actually need to know because this is where most people get tripped up. For the Texas primary runoff election day, it's going to be May the 26th of 2026. If you need to register to vote or update your registration, the deadline is Monday, April the 27th of 2026. If you plan to vote by mail, your application deadline is Friday, May the 15th, 2026. And and it must be received, not just mailed. Early voting begins Monday, May the 18th, 2026. Now, shifting to the next election. For the Texas general election, election day is going to be November 3rd, 2026. If you need to register or update your voter registration for that election, the deadline is Monday, October the 5th, 2026. If you're applying to vote by mail, that deadline is Friday, October the 23rd of 2026. And again, it must be received. Now that you know the deadlines, the dates, here's the part you really need to know. Do not aim for the deadline. Move at least 10 days before the cutoff. So for the May 2026 primary runoff with a voter registration deadline of April 27th, you should be handling your voter registration updates by April the 17th. And for the November 3rd, 2026 general elections with a registration deadline of May 5th, you should be handling your voter registrations or have it updated by around September the 25th. Give yourself a buffer because if something goes wrong, you still have time to fix it. Meaning, if it doesn't get to the party it needs to get to by the U.S. Postal Service in time. Now, let's talk about something else that catches people off guard. You can end up on a suspense list. That can happen when you've moved and you didn't update your address. Mail gets returned, you didn't respond to an address confirmation notice within a certain deadline. And yes, inactivity over time can play a role in that process too. So now that you know, you to show up thinking, now that you show up and you're thinking everything is fine, and now that's pretty much the problem. Again, that's not the election worker's fault. And this is where people get wrong. Or if they show up mad again at the election worker, cussing and everything. It's funny. For following the law. When they didn't do their own civic duty to check their voter registration, confirm their information, and handle things ahead of time. Now, let me give you my personal perspective on this. I don't agree with how strict some of these timelines can feel. I believe voting is both a right and a responsibility. And I'll say it plainly. I wish Texas allowed same day voter registration because some states already do, like Colorado, California, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. But Texas is not one of them. So until that changes, you have to move differently. Okay? When I say move differently, that means do your civic duty and check your voter registration. So let's bring this all together. Again, thank you for watching this episode of Explain and Not Endorsed. Remember to follow, subscribe, click, like, love. Till again, I'll see you later in Houston, not in Vegas. Bye.